going on, guys? Welcome back to the FPVnoobtube. If you've been here before, you may notice my intro has changed. Let me know what you guys think about it in the comments section. I got somebody from Fiverr to make it for me. His name is Delta Graphics. I really like it. He was really helpful with me trying to really get a few specific things done in there. So anyways, guys, today was going to be about my 1 month summary review of the Eachine Wizard X220. And I know I've been kind of hinting at that video for a few videos now, and I'll tell you why that didn't happen. Couple things. One, it's amazing, and everybody knows that. Two, it's broke now. So I did have some footage of me doing a review the other day, and most of it was unusable. So today I'm actually doing another video about the top noob tips, top beginner tips, getting into FPV and racing or freestyling these things. I'll explain a little bit more later on about what happened to the Wizard and why it's broken now and what you see right here. But for now, let's get into it. So, number one, use Velcro to secure your batteries. And I know you use a battery strap that has Velcro on it, but I'm talking about something else. Oops. Use Velcro on the battery pad on your quad, whether it be on the top or on the bottom where you're mounting your battery, and then also use Velcro on your battery. What that's going to do is it's going to help you secure your battery to your quad better, and if you don't have that, a regular old crash could turn into a bad crash and really ruin something for you. Your battery can come loose and sling around and break some other stuff in your quad. Number two, use a quality battery strap. And I know I probably could have jumped this in with the first one, but I just didn't. So what I mean by that is a decent battery strap that's probably got like a rubber feel to it. So if you see in the camera here, you can see reflection. This is really sticky and really rubbery. It's going to grip the battery really well and help further secure it to the quad for you so you don't have any battery slippage or damage. Number three, use quality batteries. And I know I've said previously in some videos to not jump on the hype train with the 4S batteries and the high C rating and everything when you're just starting out in this hobby. And to a point that will still ring true if you're really not getting to the point where you're flying first person, or you're not flying in a high obstacle environment. What I mean by that is this is the battery that came with my Eachine Wizard X220. It will suffice to help you learn the controls, and it'll still fly the quad just fine. But these are the batteries that I bought second. Here, the Fleurion 3S. It's like a 40C. So it was a little bit more power than what the original battery was. It's still a 3S. It's still a low C rating. I ended up buying these, which is a 4S battery, okay, right there, but it's still a 40C. Okay, so it gave me a little bit extra power, but not as much as a 4S battery with a higher C rating, like 60, 75 C rating. They got 95s, but then you start getting crazy and they're really not too true. Why do I say that? Because if you're starting to fly FPV and you're starting to fly around obstacles, then I've noticed that you need the extra punch. You need the extra zip to get out of the way of some of these obstacles. If something just appears in front of you all of a sudden, or if you're just not paying attention and a tree just appears out of nowhere, like it did to me in this next clip. Yeah, so I was distracted. I look up, there's a tree there, and you can see I kind of try and pull back and then push up on the throttle to get out of it, and I just can't. I just don't have the power to get away from that obstacle, and I hit it. And it turned into a whole thing to try and get the quad down. It ended up ruining my, my VTX antenna. Number four, use quality props. The props, if you bought the Eachine Wizard, for example, came with some props for the Ready to Fly version. They weren't that great. Get you some Dow props or Racecrafts, just my personal preference. If you hit with something with this one's probably been hit before, you can see it. You'll hit something and it'll look like that, and you can't fly with it, okay? You bend that sucker back and you fly with it. It's just, that is what it is. These things are great. Do they last forever? No. But it'll definitely get you out of a pinch if you're running low on props. I put my dowel props on there, and I just fly and crash and bend, and it's good to go. Number 5, like I just mentioned, your props can bend, okay? Even if you're using quality props or cheap props. Your props can bend, and they can bend down in the crash, and they can hit the ESCs on your arms, okay? You're going to come down, it's going to hit your ESC, it's going to break your ESC, and you're going to have a bad day and a bad month while you're trying to wait on ESCs to come in and repair your quad, okay? So you can get 3D printed ESC covers. You can do a bunch of different things. These ESCs that I bought came with covers. Or you can use old props. These are the old Eachine Wizard props, and they always broke off in the same spot. But you can use these, and you can electrical tape them to you can cut them to shape, and you can electrical tape them to the top of your ESCs like that, or zip tie it down, and this is armor for your ESCs. Just a little tip that I picked up. I don't need to because I've got these covers, but that's a good idea. Number 6, buy extra parts. What I mean by that is pretty much anything that's on that quad that you can afford to have extra of, do it. Standoffs. Well, the standoff are these things right here, these little bars that connect your quad together. Screws. What do we got? We got props. That's an obvious one. A camera, a VTX, and definitely antennas. Okay, I've got this FPV antenna. This one here that I ruined when I hit that tree, and it's probably hard to tell. Now you can see how garbled it is. It should be a lot taller. And definitely not that misshapen. Could I bend it back? Maybe. That's why I kept it. I'm going to try. But I had an extra, and I got to keep flying that day, and I was stress-free. So that's a good idea. Alright, so I didn't want to make a whole nother number out of this one. It kind of goes with the buying extra parts thing. Bring your extra parts. Have a little toolkit with you. Bring the wrench for your props, an Allen for your screws and your standoffs. All that kind of stuff, bring that with you. I've got this box here, and I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but you can see props in there. I've got a solder, I've got a soldering iron, I've got electrical tape. I actually do have my charger because I bring this whole kit with me if I go to the station to fly, at the fire station, and all kind of other stuff. This comes with me everywhere. Number 7, never plug your quad on or turn your quad on before your transmitter. Okay, always have your transmitter on and on the right channel before you plug this thing in, because it can get a wild signal and this thing can take off by itself, and you will never see it again. It has happened, it can happen, it will happen if you don't do that. You can, worst case scenario, you can lose your quad and hurt somebody else, and you'll be responsible for that. Best case scenario, it just takes off and kind of flips out on you, and you're freaked out. Alright? Along with that, make sure your props are never ever on if you're plugging your battery in indoors. Okay, that means if you're going to be hooking up to Betaflight, or if you just want to show somebody something, don't do it. These things are too fast and they're too dangerous to be plugging your battery in indoors. And just like before, if it catches a signal or somebody bumps the throttle, it's going to hurt somebody or something. Alright, so I think I lost number 8 somewhere in there when I was combining some advices, but I've got number 9 here. Plug your quad into Betaflight or CleanFlight and program a failsafe and an arming switch instead of using an arming stick. So normally you'll go down and to the right on your throttle and it'll arm. Right now I've got a switch. I'll just flick my switch to arm it so I can arm it. And in case of an accident or a crash or something were to happen, if I get near a person, I can disarm it. The props will stop spinning so I don't mess up my quad or property or people when this thing crashes. Also, the failsafe, what that means is if this thing loses a signal from the transmitter, if your quad loses a signal, it will do what the failsafe tells it to do, which in most cases people are using what's called fall or drop, and the whole quad is going to completely shut down and fall out of the air. Instead of what could happen is a hover, and it'll slightly hover, but you can see this thing's gone. Like, whoop, it's gone. I don't know where it went. You could hover into a pond, you can hover into a person, whatever, the highway. So we fall out of the air on our fail-safes. That's what most people are doing. It's really up to you. It's just a responsible thing to do. Alright, so I've got number 10 here, and out of all the tips that I've got here listed out, I think this one is probably one of the most important. It's hard to really say that one's more important than the other, but this one's pretty big. Do a pre-flight check, pre or post flight check or both. And what do I mean by that? Well, pre means before and post means after. And a check means you're checking your quad. So either check it before or after your flight, or both, preferably. So what are we checking for? Well, we're checking for our screw tightness on our standoffs. We're checking on our nut tightness on our flight controllers. We're checking all of our wire connections, making sure there's no wet grass or anything touching our flight controller or our power distribution board. You're going to short that sucker out. A big one is making sure the screws on the bottom of your motors are tight. Very overlooked, but quite possibly the most important thing you can do with your quad is to make sure those motor screws are tight before you take off. That is a very big deal. You know, best case scenario, you get down from flying and you noticed it was flying kind of weird and you get some oscillations. You're going to notice that because of your loose screws. Worst case scenario, your motor's going to fly completely off, really do some damage to your quad and your antennas, and fall clean out of the air and break something. I'm on the FPVnoobtube Facebook group. If you haven't joined that yet, go ahead and do that. Somebody shared an example of a motor coming off of their Eachine Wizard X220 because their screws weren't tight and fell out of the air and broke an arm. So now he's got to wait probably a month for another arm to come in from China, and he can't fly. So that's not good. Kind of piggybacks on the other tip that I had before, buying extra parts. Maybe extra arms is a good idea. These things are really hard to break, but it can happen, as you saw. So now that I've mentioned some of the tips, like the top 10 tips that I've got for your quad getting into the FPV hobby, I want to mention some tips for your mindset getting into the FPV hobby. From a beginner's point of view, these are all things that I've learned over the past few months of me, couple months of me getting into this hobby and talking to some professionals and just really trial and error stuff. So, number one, be safe. What do I mean by that? Well, it's kind of obvious, right? Well, preferably you should have a friend come with you when you fly, one that's probably not in the goggles, even though as tempting as that could be, to watch for bystanders and then watch your quad. I was flying the other day and we were having a good time. My friend was in the goggles and I was in the goggles. We were both flying. I was flying one quad and he was watching the quad through the goggles. And I see this person through my goggles. I'm looking down through the camera and I see somebody standing right in front of me, and it freaked me out. So I went around real wide and I landed. And I'll show you that clip right now. So that can happen anytime, anywhere. It was really open field. No cars were parked there or anything, and that could have ended very badly if I had not been paying attention. What else can we do to be safe? Well, follow some of the tips that I've mentioned previously, and then also, excuse me, I do have a list here. Know the rules. What do I mean by the rules? Well, there's some specific rules, if you don't know yet, to flying FPV in the United States, put down by the FCC. I've got a short list here, and there are quite a few more if you do some research. No flying above 400 feet. That one's easy. No flying above 400 feet. No flying within 5 miles of an airport, okay? Some exceptions, because airports have some nice areas to fly around them sometimes. You can contact the airport, contact the tower, let them know what you will be flying and how high you will be flying and when and where, and sometimes they can make some exceptions for you. An example of this is I fly near the fire station, and then also at a park near the fire station, all within 5 miles of an airport. I called the airport, I called the tower, I told them what I'm flying and that I will not be flying higher than 50 feet, which is the height of one of the electric poles out there, the light poles. And they said, awesome, no problem. Don't fly higher than that, and you don't have to contact us any further. No flying around people or stadiums. This is just something that I picked up offline. Stadiums are full of people, and people can get hurt by quads. And then just check also with your local laws. If you're in a different country, definitely check with your laws there. I know some countries can be a lot more strict, and then some countries can be a little less strict. Check your local laws and your local regulations for stuff like that. Number 2 of my FPV mindset tips is going to be registering your quad. This is less of a tip and more of a mandatory thing. If you live in the United States of America, then there are some regulations and some rules stating that you have to register your quad if it is over 250 grams. Okay, if it is relatively large, if it's about this big, okay, and there's a battery and some electric stuff and motors on it, it's more than 250. Don't bother. Go ahead and register it. I'll put the link in the description. You can go to the website. It's about $5 or so. Do it. It's going to save you a lot of hassle and a lot of headache if you ever do get inspected or get caught not flying when it's registered. You can actually print out. You should have your number on all of your quads that are over 250 grams. You should have that number on there, and it's going to look something like that, okay? Somewhere on your quad. I've got a new build right here. It's going to be over 250 grams. I'm going to put my number on it. Also, print out the little card that you get and keep that on you at all times as well. So, that being said, moving on to number 4. Take it easy at first when you're getting into this hobby. If you've never flown anything before, or if you've flown other things before, maybe not something like these. What do I mean by that? Well, just be patient with yourself and take it easy. So, get you, when I first got my battery for my Eoshin Wizard and everything, dude, I hovered for like 20 batteries worth of batteries. Like I hovered. And I hovered, and I hovered. And I would kind of tilt forwards, and I'd tilt backwards, and I'd get a feel for the controls. I didn't have my goggles yet, and I recommend you get a feel for the controls before you just jump right into the goggles and start running around at 50 miles an hour. But take it easy and be patient with yourself. This is a hard skill set to learn for new people. Some people have been flying other things for a very long time, and you may see some of their footage, and you may be jealous, and you're like, man, I can do that, and make it look so easy. Well, they do make it look really easy, and it's not easy. They've been putting a lot of time and a lot of effort and a lot of practice into it, and it's going to take just as much for you to get into it. Some people learn differently at different rates. So, since I've said that, number 4, fly it like you stole it. Okay? Have fun. Fly this thing as fast as you can and just do some cool stuff and have fun. Well, you just said don't do that. Yeah, I did. But once you've taken it easy and you've been patient and you've put the time in and you put the effort in, you've been flying the simulator and you're really starting to get confident, show that confidence within reason. Be safe. Have your spotters. Fly in an open area. But really push yourself once you get to a point where you get confident. Start pushing yourself and doing some cool and some fun stuff. Film it if you have the capabilities. With the GoPro or something like that, some cheaper stuff. GoPros are expensive. Do some cool stuff and push yourself. I've got some footage of me, some recent footage that really surprised the heck out of me because I saw some trees and I just was like, man, I wonder if I could dive in there and fly around them. And I did it. And I left that day and I was super hyped and I was super excited and I had a great day. That's the kind of experience that you want to take away from this hobby, is the greatest kind. That's the good kind. The bad experience is, well, you're going to do some stuff like that and you're going to hit a tree and you're going to hit a pole and you're going to hit stuff. But these things can take it. I'm telling you. Just broke a battery strap. Oh. Right? So they can take it. Maybe not quite that. I got pretty lucky on that one. I was going really fast and hit something really hard. But it's a really great example of how you can just get back up and keep flying. So don't baby these things. I don't have a number 5, and if I did, I think it would be to overall just enjoy the hobby and have fun. Have the mindset that this is something that you can share with other people, and you can share with family and friends, and there are people all over the world that are getting into it, all in different shapes and sizes and things like that. Get into the community, get on your Facebook or get on some forums and find some people in your area that are doing something like this. FPV quads, drones, racers, freestylers, anything like that, and get with the group and really start to talk to them and have fun. If you can't find one, join the FPVnoobtube Facebook group. We're all here, we're all in there, we're talking about stuff, our noob experiences, showing our cool new builds and mistakes that we make along the way, and we're all learning from each other all at the same time.